Hello everyone, my name is Josh and welcome back to Dynamic Modeling of Cities and Buildings. And today we'll be covering about 360 cameras and panoramic renders from Lumion. So there are a lot of tools to render it in to render 360 images, but at this point I'm just going to show you how it's done in Lumion because I think that's one of the easiest way to do it. You can do it in 3ds Max using V-Ray, but that's a topic for another day. So in Lumion, before I go through the settings for the 360 panorama, I want to introduce you to what Lumion is. Lumion is a rendering software. It's not a modeling software. So the trickiest part in Lumion is that you need to finish every single detail of the model before you put in the Lumion, or not, it's not going to work and your Lumion file will be messed up. For example, in this one here, this is the example file from Lumion. It's a template Mies van der Rohe Farnsworth House. So as you can see, the model is actually inserted here, and you can see here is a .dae file, and as you can see, everything is in here is in one DAE file. So that includes the furniture, the furniture and the plants, the planter box. Everything is inside here. Maybe some of the entourages, like for example this books over here, that's embedded in from the Lumion. So Lumion has like default models like small books like that, just to show the surroundings and entourage. Like for example, these ones here, these are all from Lumion. As you can see, when I select this indoor icon over here, that means that everything here is from Lumion. But the whole building itself is imported elsewhere. So this is a tricky part from Lumion, is that this is not a modeling software, so you want to make sure that the model is actually finished before putting it in Lumion. Lumion is only the rendering software. It gives a little bit of detail on the textures, the textures, the depth of the textures as well, the colors, the glass effect over here like a mirror, and also the steel, everything, etc., like materiality, weather, just to make it more realistic. But it's not a modeling software, so it's very different from V-Ray. V-Ray is an embedded rendering software in the modeling software. But if you're not really comfortable in using V-Ray, for example, because it's too hard or something, you can actually use Lumion. But that's the tricky part of Lumion. Since it's not a modeling software, also it's not really work well with moving freely, because it's not really that accurate. It doesn't have any snap tools, and it doesn't really work on the shortcuts. But you can do some basic stuff, like for example copying when pressing this button here when dragging around. Hold Alt just to copy the imported item. So many shortcuts like undo or redo doesn't really work. So it's quite tricky in working in Lumion, and that's the tricky part of working in Lumion. And secondly, the trickiest part in Lumion is that you need a very good specification on your computer, like for example your memory and graphic card. It doesn't work really. It doesn't use your CPU very much except when rendering, but to show it, like to play around, like to move around like this, it requires a high-end GPU. It requires a really good graphic cards, but the graphic cards that's going to be required is not like something like Rhino, or 3ds Max, where the graphic cards for the two softwares are more towards processing and CUDA cores. But in Lumion, it's more like a gaming graphic cards that's needed. So I'm going to show you how to do a panorama view now. It's really easy. At the stage, everything's already set up because this is the template file, but you can actually use your own file, and it's going to take the exact same process. So as you can see, it here is more to editing. It's more to the editing texture and the model. Here is just your editing the material, what kind of material that you want to use, and this is the landscaping, and that's the weather. So in here, what you want to do for the panorama is going to be here. So we are in the build mode at the moment. There are photo mode, video, movie mode, and 360 panorama. So photo mode is for basic rendering. You can see you can store some cameras, and then you can just press enter to render. The movie is more towards like video rendering. fly through. So you can see it looks like that. And lastly, the 360 panorama. This is the one that we're going to I'm going to show you right now. So for example, this one here is already custom made from the template, but I'm going to make a new one. For example, this one here, this is the one that I make. So what you want to do, I'm going to remove that. So basically, for example, you're starting from this view here. You want to find a position where it has a very good view of knowing what your architecture looks like. It doesn't have to be restrictive to one single angle. So for example, if you wanna show this part of the house, you can actually render the panorama like this way, because the panorama will render 360 including this area over there. So right now I want to show the interior side looking from the outside. So for example, over here, just like this daybed, set the camera at eye level like so, and then as you can see, you can actually pan around, orbit around, just to see what's going to be rendered in the 360 panoramic view. And when you're happy with that, just store panorama, which means that when rendered, we're going to have this kind of this position here. So the thing about storing is that when you move around and you want to go back, oh crap, I want to go back to my original position, before you can just click this one, and that's a good thing about storing panorama or storing camera, is just to save the position of your render of your angle. So you want to have also you can add some effects, like for example weather, sky, objects, camera, animation, and some of the things I'm just going to show. Real skies, and then just change the sun heading just to make it more realistic. Like that one there, like that one there, and then change the sky like so, so it looks very, very bright during the day. Then we don't want the sand, we want a little bit of, oops, not the cloud ray. For example, we also want the GI. So the GI is really to allow some sunlight. Reduce spots. So basically, just to give an effect, so the render looks really, really nice. You can actually put this where the sunlight, the light is, because we don't have any interior light, so we don't need that. And then we can also add another effect. For example, this one, I will use the color correction just to make it a little bit warmer. A little bit contrast, a little bit saturation. And yeah, so just use the effect that you want. So I'm going to for this kind of effect because it looks more vibrant, it looks more bright. Feels like you're in a feels like you're in the countryside pavilion, and you can actually change the quality of the viewport using F1 to F4. So F1 being the lowest one, like so, and that's F2, that's F3, and that's F4. You can actually toggle waypoints, which is really useful in VR, because sometimes in VR you want to go from one position to another, similar to Google Earth. So toggle waypoints means that it's going to show which the previous where is the previous position, which this one here is the deck panorama. So it's really handy, and when you are transferring this to VR, for example, if you're seeing this panorama in VR, this waypoint will be visible. So the waypoint works similarly to like storing the cameras, so storing the position. So this works also in VR. Now everything's ready. Make sure that you have the eye level at 160 and everything's correct. So after everything's correct, you want to Render, I'm going to just render this one here. So if you want to have like if you want to open it in VR, you want to make sure to render everything, render all in 360 panoramas and put it in VR, but I'm not going to show you at the stage. I'm going to show you how to work with 360 panoramas and how it works in Lumion. And there are two options here. The first one is monoscopic and second one is stereoscopic. For generic viewing of the panorama view, you want to go for the monoscopic flat image, because stereoscopic is more like it's considering both right eye and left eye perspective in viewing the renders. So they have two different positions they need to render out, and it takes a longer time, but it's really good, and it's going to produce a very good quality if you're using VR. But if you're not using VR, for example, just use a web browser, stereoscopic or monoscopic is fine. And here you go. Also, the Gear VR or Oculus and then stereoscopic on, you can have like an advanced setting, eye to eye distance, for example, horizontal slices, but we don't need that at the moment because we're not showing for the extract for the VR. This can take about for the image just now, this can take about 4 hours. It can take a long time, like and when I say a long time, it's going to take hours. So I'm going to show you in the monoscopic image in generic device and render 360 panorama. I'm just going to render it large. As you can see, I've already tried it before. Render 360 panorama. I'm going to name that. And let's just wait. So as you can see, the rendering is complete. It only took 2 minutes. It's very good if you want to show this rendering, 360 rendering in browser view or web view, or for example in your phone or your tablet. It's very quick and it's very good. So as you can see, the angle is taken here. It's similar to when you take a picture from your camera, for your phone camera, when in the 360 camera, 360 panoramic settings. It's the same thing. So you need a specific viewer to open this image in a 360 camera manner, so you can have an interaction with it. So what you want to do is to open folder and to download what is called the FSP viewer. I've already downloaded mine. As you can see, just click open. Yeah, as you can see here, when you try to open it in the default Windows picture image viewer, is going to take the same thing. So you need a specific software which is called the FSP viewer. So FSP viewer allows user to rotate around in 360 camera like so. It's very handy to have it, and it's free. The good thing is free, so you can actually have a look in 360 camera. But the difference between this one, but the thing is, you cannot have any like other position toggle. Like remember the previous one that I show, we have another view angle from this position over here. You cannot press it over there because this is only an image viewer. It's not like it can be interactive to change position. So if you want to do that, it's better for you to do it in VR or any other software that allows you to do it. But for this image, for this viewer here, it's really good just to give out the same, just to give out the image, the 360 image, just to view the 360 image. And also you can have, as you can see here, there's another one that I just did earlier today. So it can move on from one file to another, like so, as long as you open it. So if, for example, you want to show this to your client, or for your tutor, you can open you can open the images that you've rendered in the FSP, and then you can just move from one file to another using in the file over here. So and then you can have a full screen. You can have a set view parameters like so. And then you can change also the colors and stuff, but this is more like a viewer, not really a photo editing software. So it's really useful for a quick and simple 360 panoramic view, especially for people to make a sense of the space. And it's free, and it's very straightforward. So thank you very much for today. I'll see you in the next one.